G'day beautiful people, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at my rework, quote-unquote rework idea for Muriel. Muriel, for most of Paragon's life, was one of, if not the strongest support available, and for good reason. Global presence, slow debuff, movement speed buff, loads of shielding. My point is that she already has a great kit, so all I need to do today is create a passive and a few quests that accentuate her already great kit, but I am going to make a couple of minor little inclusions to some of her abilities, or at least one. So before we get into the video, I'd like to say, like usual, that when I do these reworks videos, I look at the character's history, I look at other community members' suggestions. In some cases, I will agree with that community member's suggestion and go along with it, and where I have the ability to do so, we'll give them credit. I now may make some minor tweaks to those things, but then in some cases, I may disagree with that and choose to speak about it with some feedback. That is not in any way, shape, or form an invitation to ridicule that person, and that is not me ridiculing that person, okay? It's going to be constructive criticism, okay? We should all try to be civil and listen to everyone's ideas so that hopefully together beautiful things can be created. As far as my videos go, my intention for the most part is to be as inventive and out there as possible, but in a lot of instances, like today, I will be keeping parts or most of the heroes' kits completely as they were, as I feel that if they work very well and it suits them, then why bother tweaking it? Now we know that passives are going to exist, so I'm going to include a passive for every hero, and like the idea of having quests, so I will be suggesting quests for each of their base abilities, each of their 3 abilities, and their passive, but not for their ultimate. Quests are an objective that is given to an ability, like hitting X amount of heroes with that ability, and upon completion will grant bonuses to that ability. Players will choose an active ability that they want to receive a quest for at the start of the match, and will also be given a quest for their passive to work for, so they'll have 2 quests per match. So it's your job to choose the quest for one of the 3 base abilities that you want to work towards. My hope with that is that if they're all balanced well enough, you have a situation where, discounting the passive quest, you are given choices of 3 quests that change, not so much change her kit, but buff her kit in a way that works towards your playstyle and or works towards countering the enemy team. However, with that said, I am not opposed to just giving them one quest, whether that be for their passive or, for one of the abilities, and just choosing, every single hero has one quest. It may be for their passive, it may be for an ability. I'm completely fine with that. I'm also completely fine with having all 4 quests available, provided that, balance is the key there. So with all that said, let's get started. First up, the easy thing, Muriel's basic attack, which was called Orb. My only suggestion is that a power scaling for a basic attack is reduced back down to 0.2, 0.3, and in the interest of this video, I've listed it as 0.3. This ensures that you don't have the debacle they had at the end of Paragon's life where, someone that's not a carry scales as well as a carry. I think it was a bit dumb to go the route where, everyone has a 1-to-1 power scaling. So every single character in the game that adds 100 power on their build gets 100 power to their basic attack. I think that's dumb. I don't think it should be a thing. And I'm quite certain that that is the direction that Unleash Games is traveling. Now to the important stuff. For Muriel's passive, I thought about the fact that she has relatively low cooldowns on her basic abilities, so I thought that the best way to go is something like this. Selfless Joy, which may sound like a crappy name, but it actually lines up with names of 2 of her abilities, so no. So shielding allies increases mana regeneration by X amount. I chose to actually write the ability up as increasing mana regen by 10%, but considering that I have no idea about how cooldowns and regen numbers are going to be in Unleashed's version of Paragon, I just chose to focus on the premise of the passive, and that's what I want you to focus on, the premise of the passive rather than the numbers. So the quest for this passive would read, after shielding 50 allies, mana regen buff will be increased to 20%. So after you've shielded 50 allies with any of her abilities, you will now have 20% increased mana regeneration. As I said, I'm not set on those numbers. It would need to be tweaked. I am totally fine with that changing. Just needs to be, we just need to make sure that it's incredibly balanced. As having it too strong would give the game's best shielder currently near endless mana, so it can be too strong definitely. However, if you build towards mana regen on it, you should get great returns from it. So for her first ability, Alacrity, which means brisk and cheerful readiness, by the way, suddenly Selfish Joy doesn't seem so lame, huh? Alacrity is a projectile that grants a shield and speed boost to allies that it hits or that pick it up off the ground. I'm not changing any of the base stats of this ability, as it was never a problem, so that's up to Unleashed. What I will do is suggest the quest which reads, after buffing allies with Alacrity 25 times, increase its duration to 4 seconds. I did consider buffing the shielding, but I want to leave that for Consecrated Ground. So next up we have Serenity. So as far as the quest goes, I feel that the options are to decrease the base slow stats so that they can then be buffed by the quest, or to increase its duration via the quest. I worry that both could end up creating issues, so I decided to go with something that can help her build towards being a damage dealer, which was quite popular. Her poke is real. Just remember that. She was used by a lot of people as a damage dealer. I used to build her to poke the crap out of people. She's been played by some of the higher tier players as an offlaner quite frequently because of her global presence with her ultimate. You know, she can sit in an offlane, she can push that forward a little bit, and then she can ult into a team fight on the other side of the map. So keep in mind that I don't want to suggest what these increases definitely should be, as I have no idea about item card stats, so it would have to be adjusted. With that said, after hitting 30 enemy heroes with Serenity, power scaling is increased to X amount. I believe it sits at around 2.7. I'm actually going to have a look right now. It's at 2.72%. Okay, so maybe, put it somewhere up around 3.5. Either that or just increase the ability damage. So then it would read, after hitting 30 enemy heroes with Serenity, ability damage is increased by X%. Either way, that will give players the option of using her as a damage support like they have before, and even use her as an offlaner with damage, sustain, and global presence. So next up we have Consecrated Ground. When it comes to buffing this ability, I didn't want to change the mana cost, as that would potentially be too much due to her passive and low cooldowns. So I went with, after shielding 50 allies with Consecrated Ground, shielding is increased by 30%. So now we have her passive giving increased mana regen, and a choice of building towards damage with her Serenity, which is, as I said before, a popular thing with some Muriel players, a boosted ally movement speed buff via Alacrity, or better shielding via Consecrated Ground, which is my aim with these quest choices. Balanced choices that all boost a character in different ways, give you 3 different ways to build that character. They're always still going to work in the same way generally, but just boosting one of their uses, so to speak. So finally we have her ultimate, Reversal of Fortune. I do want to introduce the knock-up effect back onto her ultimate, so I'm not sure how people feel about that, but I do want to bring that back. I thought it was pretty good. But the main thing I want to do with it is to ensure that ulting in provides her with assists if kills are made. Because let's be honest, if she traverses the whole map via using her ultimate, let's use for an example, she ults across the map onto one of the bruisers on her team, and her bruiser secures a kill because she kept her bruiser healthy, she deserves that assist. If she uses her ultimate up to keep a member of her team healthy enough to just secure a kill, then she deserves to be accredited with that assist. So if the knock-up effect is enough to for the game to register her as being included in that kill when it's secured, then that's enough. But if necessary, I'd like to suggest that just adding a tiny amount of damage that just ensures that the game realizes that she's a part of that kill, so she gets the assist for it. So that's my rework suggestion for Muriel. My voice is just going dead there. It's not really much of a rework, it's more of just an adjustment, but as I said, there's never really been anything wrong with Muriel. She's always been towards the tippy top of the supports in the game. So I'd love to hear your opinions on today's video, so drop a comment in the down there section if you have one. Like the video if you enjoyed it, as it really does help my channel, and if you aren't already, consider subscribing for more content. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.